Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It's been a great day of learning and sharing. It's amazing. I am Gurpreet Bal, the Chief Enterprise Architect, Head of Enterprise Architecture Team and Data Technology at Guardian. And it's been a beautiful journey coming into the insurance industry, having experiences in the financial street, and I come from varied backgrounds within the financial services. So it's given me a plethora of experience, but in financial sector. And when I come to forums like these, seeing manufacturing, seeing oil, seeing retail, it's just amazing what different problems, but similar, are trying to be solved across the industry. And I think that's why these forums are such a charm to learn. The reason I picked this topic in specific is that we've coined the term modernization, transformation, cloud for about 7 to 8 years now, where almost 10, where cloud really took off, the hype cycle followed, and we all went towards moving stuff to cloud. We also learned different ways of doing that. Today, I truly plan to share. What you will notice in my presentation is that it is a very limited presentation because I'm here to share my practical experiences with you guys and the lessons that I'm learning along, because this is the same problem that specifically the healthcare industry and the insurance industry is trying to solve. So we asked the question as we were going towards this, and you'll notice that my topic is not cloud, my topic is not technology centric, but it is ways of thinking and execution, and that was deliberate. So we asked the question of why do we want to modernize, and we answered ourselves. The business answered us because we want to stay ahead. We don't, and also there is an effect of FOMO. There is, we want to stay in course, and it's also the intent of, are we becoming a technology company? Should we become a technology company? Technology wants to be an enabler to grow business. We also want to help our business be differentiators in the products that we serve and the markets that we serve. Oh, we want to modernize because we want to manage our risk and our complexity drivers. They're all intertangled, all of them. But I'll give credit to my very good partners, Grant and Geeta, who helped me review this presentation yesterday. And they were like, Gurpreet, you need to put the case for change here. And they were absolutely right, because this was the heart of it. Like, why did these questions start coming up? Like, why was modernization becoming a big topic? By the way, our 80% of our payload is already in cloud, but we don't still consider ourselves, we still think that we need to do more, and I'll come in details along the story. So our Guardian's tagline and goals and principles and vision is towards wowing our customer and unleashing what's possible. And I think the entire story really caters to those main vision statements. And as we moved along, it was like, what is it that we are modernizing? Like, we keep saying we want to modernize because you have a past stack, you have a legacy asset stack, you have the cloud stack and a multi-cloud stack, and you have the bigger partnerships along. You have partnerships for engineering, for QA, you have solutions being come in and driven. Now there's a SaaS sprawl all across. Even though it's modern, it's still connected to the legacy areas. So how are we going to sort of manage all of this? And which area is becoming a blocker? So I put that picture on the right side on purpose, where our capital portfolios are consumed by changes on the existing system that fall precisely into the categories of tech debt or legacy assets. 95% of them, or they're routing through them, or in some shape or form touching them. And it's hard to really decouple them very easily. So it's really like, I'm too busy, but they're on the wheels that are square and hard to move, versus I'm standing here where I can really move fast if we did this. It's the same story. It's like how we are telling the story, right? And the complexity as a driver keeps coming up. One, capacity, another, complexity. And I did a presentation maybe about 12 years ago to something like, we used to have like internal TED Talks while I was at S&P. And we were talking about complexity because that was like the start of S&P starting to think around modernizing, transforming. Technology had really started to boom in terms of how will I do engineering differently, and more around that area. And there was a lot of talk around complexity. And I realized that the groups didn't move forward with the fear of complexity and the fear of touching it. So I presented this slide then, and I was like, this is a subway map, which is more than 30 decade, like I don't know, I don't even know how old it is. This is the NYC subway map, and this was put in. It's operational, it works, it expands, they fix problems, they're coming up with ways. But the good news is that they have the lay of the land, they know what's happening, what's going where. And most of the time, what I have seen, and I'll come through these other slides, is we can't fear from complexity. It is truly, truly important that we show our landscape, that we show our partners and give them a visualization of what we are talking about. Because our words, we talk different languages, and it's okay. But one of the things, as for architects, is really to learn the business language and talk in that terms and give them comfort around what they should know, so that they know what the true problems are, and they can really remove those blockers, whether that is capacity, funding, moving ahead, making it a priority. So organizations need to really, really learn to appreciate the importance of and architecture and data around it. And we'll come to data also. Where we need to go, or what I have done is, I've really picked the lay of the land, visualized it, shown it, shown it to different stakeholders in the areas that are influential, and asked them, what am I not telling you that you need to know? Taken that feedback and really asked them to present it along with me. And it is so effective when you make everybody part of the story. Your story not only becomes stronger, you create advocates for your story, because they become part of this story. It's very hard to do, but when you let somebody lay their hands, put their fingerprints on something, there's accountability that they take to it. And that's how partnerships are fostered, created, and moved along. And it not only helps you in that particular journey, I think the human bonds created better, whether you choose to do it as a friend, as a professional, pure professional. It's positive outcome. It's truly, truly important that we talk the same language. So where I'm going next is, what could be the different creative ways of modernizing? And when I say that, it's like what I did. I got my house in order. I had a very clear place. I called it GTIP. I created a place, called it Guardian Technology Info Place. I got my technology stack. I democratized it. I got my technology roadmap. I democratized it. I asked all my business unit architects to create technology roadmap by business area, and I democratized it. I created the application. There was information in other places. It's not like everything was done raw. But what we did was, we collected all required information that 90% of people want to know and ask. We made it available to everybody without having the need for email asking, creating channels that you have to go to this person or this group to get that data. And it creates a lot of harmony, respect, when you democratize this kind of information. We also, and again, this is not me alone, there's a whole team behind this, right? And my peers behind this. We also created scoring mechanism, like health scoring mechanism. We created a criteria, and Stability was one of our bigger things. Then we said that, look, this is what is going to happen if we don't take care of this. So risk, stability became our biggest drivers to tell that story, because all our business partners to GLT, to board, understand that language, right? What we also did was we created a business map application to health score. We're still in progress, like that work is still continuing. But the point here is that create a business map. You've created a health score for your forest. Have the lay of the land, like get your forest in order, have a view of your forest, create the technology part of it, create the business part of it, democratize it, show what sits where, even if it has the 10,000 foot level, show them the ability to see the tentacles around it, because it's going to allow for very fast decision making. And mainly, the foremost thing is it eliminates a lot of noise that happens. There is a source of information that is consistent, and you eliminate a lot of noise around it. And again, all like I've been saying all along, democratize all of this information, put it in the hands of your partners, use that same document, that same view, your same URL to go access no matter which forum you are, so that it creates a habit for your partners to do the same. Another thing, another story along the way is that last year sometime, uh, as many other contact centers, like industry that deals with the contact center, lot of automation, lot of ML, NLP being done in the place to really wow your customers, so that, and the intention was my calls should not come to the call center, because calls coming to call center means I need more people, I need more training, and these are hard jobs. These are very hard jobs, specifically in the health and the insurance industry, because they're very emotional, they're very sentimental. There is a lot of understanding of human um, data, where they are in their policies goes along. And we had a chat, and along with the chat, the CIO came, and CIO said, we are doing all of this. And it was our offsite, and we were having a fireside chat with him, and he said, I'd really like to know what happens in the entire journey end to end in our omni channel. And we all were like, we all said, that's a very good question. None of us have that view today. I picked up my omni-channel architect in this space, and I said, we've got to do this. And how are we going to do this? Along the way, so we completed the exercise in around 3.5 months, and we kept giving continuous updates. But what the outcome was, since then, and 3 months later, the entire company talks the same language. The entire company, when making decisions, asks, oh, is it a contained call? Is it going to the call center? How is it contained? Is it through IVR alone, or is Amelia the bot coming in between? What are the percentages when we are doing this channel? And now it allows you to focus, which are my biggest problem areas. That's one. Next, it also allows, when we did the costing around this, it also allows you that, oh, I am going through this channel in this horizontal manner, which is great. But what happens? How is the chat happening? What is the communication happening? How is this translating? So let me give an example. I am a person, I pick up the phone, I want to know the status of my claim. I pick up the phone, I dial the number. It goes to the IVR. It says, press 1 for this, press 2 for this, blah, blah. I do press 3 for claims. It tells me the status for it. And I keep the phone because I know the status of my claim. That's the containment within the IVR. Now, think about the second use case where I'm not happy with the answer that is provided because I want to know more. So it goes to the bot. And you have the voice bot, and the voice bot says, what more would you like to know? And we say customer service. It gives choices. Can I help you with this? And you say, let's say that you help with this. Like, oh, what was the reason for the claim being denied? So it gives you that. If I keep the phone, that means I'm satisfied. Now you're hopping from phone to IVR to your automation system. Now another thing happens. I'm not satisfied. Use case three. I want to go to the customer agent. The customer agent is now seeing whatever is in front of them and ask the question. It pulls up every single time whenever I was keeping the phone, or in every use case, whether I'm keeping the phone, there is communication that is happening through APIs that are going to my systems through multiple hops to get that information, whether it is IVR, whether it is the automation, whether it is the voice automation, or whether it is the customer center. To get, and the stack that is below to get all of this information, did anybody consider the cost of that? Did anybody consider the, when I say cost, it is licensing, it is also everything that is in the way for that communication. Simple thing I'll say is like API gateway. Am I considering the licensing cost for that? The number of transactions and that division, the labor. When I say the labor, the support that goes behind it, the human support that goes behind it, the functionality updation that goes behind it. The when I say support, it's like your upgrades that go behind it. So your manual labor, your skilled labor, your licensing fee and cost. When we did that math, it was an eye opener. We did an assumed math in some areas. Some areas we couldn't get the math, but it was an eye opener. But where that led to is the decision making of, do I really need to do this? Because one expectation that was set, and we actually had a slide that said that getting automation or getting speed does not equate to cost savings yet, because I'm still sitting on a many multi-layered legacy systems that are strong, but there are costs associated to it. So that was one very solid outcome. Another strategic priority that after you have your case is like, out of this, which one? So I gave you an example of omnichannel. Many companies have BPE scores for stability and NPS, and BPE is, again, stability is very, very big for us, and it's helped us in the area. Big programs that matter to business, big transformational programs that matter to business. Request from your field agent broker, because these are very influential voices and help us big time. These are some of the ways to modernize. I will move my slide. Once you have the strategic complexity priority overlay, and my omni-channel omni-channel experience is the overlay of that. Like, I picked, like, why do we need to modernize this? I picked the omni-channel example and the strategy and the stability example to show that this is why we need to modernize. And the example I'll give you, I gave you the omni-channel part of it. Let me tell you the little story about the stability part. One of our premium websites where we log in had a lot of coupling directly to mainframe. And we used to have a lot of severity S1s around it. And when we looked at it, we found where the culprits were. We found what was going on. And we introduced a solution to that. And we said, if we do this, this will help with stability. We should not have any more S1s related to this. It took us around 6 months. In those 6 months, we delivered it to production. And since then, we have not had any S1 on that topic and on that frame. And it's been excellent, because those things are wowing the customer, and we have gained a lot of respect from our field agents, our brokers, because it gives them more trust on how stable our systems are and how it adds to our business and our growth. Now that you have attention, because this is all to get their attention. Now that you do have their attention, we have to utilize it well. We have to do a lot more work, right? Now the question becomes, what should I do? What should I do? What is it the first step that I want to do? These are bigger programs. Do I have the right skills? Start showing wins, if any, like stability example, where we introduced a solution that helped us with stability, was a big one. We showed that win. Our team not only earned trust with that, but there was a lot of respect for all the other solutions coming in, and there was architects started getting the seat on the tables that they did not get before, because it was no longer like, oh, you're just drawing it on the paper kind of thing. So it's really important to get your hands dirty. It can be different levels, and it really helped us because we were along with our delivery partners doing that work. Even though they were doing it, we were helping on the house big time. Now you also integrate the cost with complexity. So now it is a lesson that every single time we are picking a strategic priority, it is super important that you integrate the cost of complexity top to bottom, so that the decision making becomes easier, so that they have a very strong idea, so that they start understanding, why do I need to put a budget aside to handle technology, and how is it going to become a blocker if they don't do that, right? And I'm a very big proponent, and it's actually on my brochure, where I say architecture is in the business of recommendations and not decision making. So we lay down the charter, we show them the work that we do, and we provide them with, here are different things. This is our recommendation. You let us know what your decision is. So by this, we are making them part of our journey, and they have control along with us on towards this journey. And this creates very strong partnership. It's hard to do, but once you do and you get the nag of it, you start enjoying it, and you do a better job of it continuously. So throughout this whole thing, right, something that we are currently going through is, should I look at legacy assets alone? Should I look beyond? Right. So this is the beyond approach, and that is why I also had to title it as creative, because when I say creative, I cannot only tell you that technically creative. You have to be savvy all around on how you are going to move that forward. So in approach one, you pick up your debt assets and you say, I'm going to rationalize them. I'm going to put them into 4 hours or the paid model, whatever you want to call, whichever you want to choose. I'm going to keep this co-located. I'm going to keep this in the cloud. I'm still going to operate the way it is because it's going to retire. Those are the choices you make. But again, these are tried and tested methods. Most of the organizations do AppRad. AppRad has been a very common practice, and it still continues. It's helpful. And then approach two, should I just look at assets, or do I really need to think super big? And are we ignoring by not thinking something super big? Do I need to think about my people, where my talent is, what that talent is? Do I need to think the geography around it? Like, are there efficiencies? And I don't want to say cost efficiencies alone. Are there efficiencies in general by doing that? Where in the geography is the best suited for my needs? Where should my technology go? And I'll give this example, and this is a small story. When I started um, in the company, one of the biggest noise I would always hear is, we need to get rid of mainframe, it's legacy. And I had no prior experience of mainframe. So what I did was, I really scanned the industry via sessions like these, going to various webinars, reading up, relying on our partners like Gartner, like AWS, Azure, to see what they are doing in the space. And to my surprise, there was not a lot of attention in the space. And what I did see is that all the mainframe is a strong technology. It's a very strong technology, and there are ways that I can. The question then became, do I want to eliminate mainframe? And every single time we say mainframe, is mainframe the problem? And the reason I am bringing that example up is, don't be so technical to modernize. that you forget the whole point. The point is not that I want to modernize. The point is I want to modernize because. So we started peeling off the because. Why do I want to get rid of mainframe? Oh, because there is issue. So decoupling helped, creation of caches helped, and that cost was pennies compared to what it would take to do the mainframe. Is the long term goal for mainframe removal? Yes, but there's bigger fish to fry to really lock our data centers, to do other things. There's bigger fish to fry. And the good news is the technology is very stable, right? So that is why you see that middle icon on the right hand side. And, and in that journey, what I did notice is that there were very clear answers from companies that were 100, more than 100 years old. They're like, we don't think we want to get rid of it. Our systems are strong. We just need better solutions until we can get out of it. And even bigger players, like you have a lot of AWS solutions, Azure solutions in terms of database and stuff, but you do not have very strong migrators. Even today, there are some companies, there are some providers that are coming up with very solid answers, but it's still in the works. There is still nothing that really does the job end to end. Like, I can't get somebody to pick my mainframe claims system and say, oh, convert this to this like this in 6 months or even a year. We still don't have that. So the market is still behind on that, and that is not the area I want to run ahead to be the differentiator. I still can be the differentiator by putting very strong solutions around decoupling and still speeding up stuff on for my front end. That's approach 2. Approach 3 is something that has always been kind of a debate, right? uh, uh, Another big thing in my career that happened is, like, I've always worked very much for build shops. This is the first buy shop, and I think the entire insurance industry is like that. So that was some of for the first 3-4 months, there was a lot of soaking in I was doing when I was seeing so many SaaS providers. SaaS is coming into in the house, and how we actually dealt with it. But what I did notice, it's not a bad answer. It is actually a very good answer if managed and governed properly, right? And that's the lesson I learned during my first 120 days. And it was fantastic, because I don't think I would have thought of it if I was in my old shop. If I were to ever go to any of my old shops or similar, I actually would have a very different approach, right? And also also there are many creative ways the industry is coming up with and becoming very serving to the needs of the customer. Like, it's amazing how bigger vendors actually have practices to the T, and so much learning that they provide, and you can churn through them. It's true. At least I was very amazed, like, oh, like, these vendors are investing so much. And don't get me wrong, I am not saying that when you outsource, there's no risk. There is very big risk. There is lousy solutioning, and that is why I use the word, like, if there's a discipline, if there's a good discipline and governance around the outsourcing, on how are you checking in, what is the way of delivery, what is the quality on that delivery. So governance becomes so much more important in this success, and I'm very proud that we do a pretty decent job at that. Today also, you will notice, right, the all the vendors are really scrambling around, being ahead in the whole AI space. And I'd really like for all of this bubble to settle down, so we can truly start seeing the value out, and put our pins where we need to. I'll talk it in one of my other slides, around my thinking around where the industry is going, and where it can lead to. Another approach is modernization factories, something that I am it's very near and dear to me, because I've run them, and I'm running one now. Uh, Do your stuff, know your stuff, know your patterns. And when I say patterns, like truly leverage what you have in house, have stronger core teams, Uber teams, whatever you want to call them, and churn out, create that engine. Like we are now starting to create an engine. When something comes in, what is the backlog? How is it prioritized? There is a meaning for prioritization of what priority means. Like, for example, prioritization means it's already funded, the capacity is already allocated for how much I want. Then I have a choice of, like, do I need to do an RFP to go out and join with the partners, or do I want to do it in house? If I want to do it an RFP, then I have certain guidelines for the factory, like what do I expect. So, for example, something like I want a fixed price contract. I'm not going to do a T&M. Second, am I asking them to execute based on what? Am I providing them with a run book? Am I providing them with 10 hours of my time, like my company's time, that I will provide them information before they get it out to me? How is the iteration? Are they going to provide, sir? Are they going to do a bot, like build, operate, transfer? This is the modernization factor, right? Again, your internal team strength plus your vendor partner relationship can do wonders if, again, disciplined and governed rightly. You then take all of these approaches and really put your pros and cons, and try to tell your and sit down with your influential partners on which one should we pick. And not everything is going to be mutually exclusive. And ands may work for you, or an or may work for you if you have strong capacity. And if capacity is no problem, the factory can run by itself, right? So put the pros and cons, let the decision makers decide, have your recommendation, and then share your experiences with your stakeholders. Like, why would one work? Like, share the reasons for your recommendation more than pros and cons, with the storytelling, with the examples, and make it a conversation for them, so that they truly become the decision maker, and they truly it also becomes part of their portfolio and their stack to talk about in whichever forum they go into, right? Again, very hot and very near and dear to many of us here. There's an opportunity. We all know this. I'm not bringing anything new, but what I do want to bring up here is the fact that we now have an opportunity to really sit back and correct the mistakes that we've made around data. We are all ready to do AI, but nobody's talking about data as much as they're talking about AI. My AI is never going to be capable of learning, not yet, very soon. It is going to operate on what I teach it. And if what I teach is biased response, and when I say bias, I don't mean gender or ethnicity. It's much beyond that. It's much more beyond that. If I cannot manage my data, if I do not use this opportunity to correct the data, then it's almost like what we say, garbage in, garbage out, right? It's not very pleasant to hear, but it is a garbage in and garbage out story. I think this opportunity is a very big opportunity that should be embraced and moved, so that we are teaching the right thing to create the right thing and expect the right thing. Something that is, again, very close to me. All of this is very close to me, isn't it? Like, I'm saying this many times because when you live through it, it does become close to you. Uh, I respect the tri-modal strategy a lot. Until I really get all the content and context into a centralized or federated, whatever you want, it is truly hard for AI to help, truly help. It's the garbage in, garbage out. I think the opportunity is great here. You need to have a system of engineering, a system of record, and system of engagement to truly say that I am a data-driven company. right? If this is not daunting enough, I want the to encourage the audience here to rethink composability, and I'll come to that. I'll share that. Uh, and I sort of I'm becoming a very big fan of the composability concept, and through my predictions of where the industry will lead to, I do think composability in terms of where the industry is going. Last month has been the month, or like last 2 months have been the months of conferences, and whatever I'm reading and educating myself on in the what's going on in the industry, literally through the M&A activity, through the SaaS sprawl, it's truly um, becoming a need. I think it's a want right now, and soon will become a need, where you really need consolidation to happen, where you really need like um, engineering aspect of it and product aspect of it, and the bigger players in the market ought to serve better, like the Oracles, the SAPs, the Salesforces, the Workdays, the ServiceNows. And I think that consolidation is very strong in the infrastructure space. And I think the similar thing will happen on this space. And you see that through a lot of M&A activity that is happening right now. And I think it's for good. I truly believe that it's for good, because that sprawl is truly going to become very hard to manage very soon. Earlier, we used to have uh, like currently we are dealing with the legacy tech stack complexity. It will soon become the sprawl complexity, and dealing the interconnectivity of data, the responsibility and accountability that the SaaS partners take, and everything on the lines of AI and data that is currently going on and circulating, and and much more towards actually written down the government issue that was really done 2 weeks ago around AI. Um, it, 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 it is heading in the right direction. So I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful. And I know I shared a lot of information, and we should get into the Q&A. I'll share a small plugin. So through ISA, we've created an insurance community group. It's a very small group that we work on, and we really exchange our thought processes and our practices. And we are developing a series of podcast where we are going to share our architectural learnings, stories, lessons, give a forum where people can ask questions offline, online, and we'll publish our first podcast in January 2024. We are currently where we are is we are very interested in like lining up speakers. So if any of you are interested, please connect me on LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to surface that up with you in any shape and form that's good for all of us. And we'll share this link in the chat too, and go from there. So I can't really leave you without the takeaways. So in conclusion, even if you may feel that, oh, this is all over the place, but think about it. Think about it like any modernization journey really does encompass all of this. And if you're not encompassing all of this, I truly encourage you to sit back and think again, and go through that. And I'll give you a parting thought, like very important. I think this is our opportunity to fix the biases, and also watch composability on how the industry is shaping up on that. But again, thank you for listening and giving me the opportunity to speak. I'll take questions.
Great, thank you, Gurpreet. I love your presentations. They're so practical and grounded, and they're really good representations of the actual real world and doing the work. So thank you again for presenting that to us. I was going to say you could leave that plug up if you wanted about the podcast. I'm always happy to support people getting messages out there. I see you stop sharing. Perhaps stop sharing your screen now, just so that we don't have the video sort of popping in. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, we do have some questions. Yeah, if you're happy to answer a few, that'd be great.
Daryl,
There was a question.
can you see me? Is this a good way to talk and communicate because I stopped sharing?
Yeah, it's all good. So we've just got the two feeds, the video feeds of you and me now, so we can have a chat. Yeah, no, thank you. That's I get so much out of these sessions. So I'm just thinking about how I can apply what you've just taught to the environment that I'm working in at the moment. And I love your point about sort of, okay, AI tools great, but what are you doing about the data that's going to inform them? Is there any bias in them? What's your data quality like? Do you, as part of your efforts, talk to the organisation about data management and all of the aspects of that in terms of ownership and quality?
Absolutely, absolutely. And just to let you know what we, and I'll expand that answer a little bit again because it is very close to my heart. I am very, very big personally on talent, and I say this right. One of my KPIs are that I elevate every single person in my organization. That's one of my personal KPIs. So just with that, I'm very happy to share that we are partnering with ISA to actually formally launch an architecture curriculum for the organization where we'll have different levels and we'll go through that. So yes, Daryl, we are very big on it.
That's great, yeah, and ISA do a great job of not only establishing those communities but also creating materials so that we all have a common reference point. So congrats to Paul and everybody who helps out on those initiatives. Yeah, sorry, there's just looking at the Q&A panel, and so Wendy's listening in after running the last panel session, and she's asking, so Gurpreet's point about AI and data really resonates with me, and I observe the same question. What has she found to work for helping leaders appreciate the importance and investment in data to ensure we can truly leverage AI?
I think great examples are very good. Every single time a partner has come back to me with data, like for example, they've created dashboards and they've come back with, oh, we don't think this is correct. And I've always loved that. Oh, this is not correct. Great. Let's go in. Like, why is this not correct? And we've always found the source to be the problem because it's either not the right source or the owner or the accountability of the data is not in the right place, so people don't know and somebody assumed and made that go. So as a result of that, actually we now are putting a lot of attention onto our data governance side, where we are formally asking czars to say, should this data be the true data? Just let's take like sentimental analysis data. Should I, is this the right set of data? Do I need to look at the 6 months? Because what happens if in the 6 months I do not get the calls that I should get or I should have gotten, or it's very important? And that led to the question of, no, my peak seasons happen in these two times. I did not get enough coverage. Let me get 48 months of data. Not sorry, I'm saying that wrong. 14 months of data, because we wanted to go more than a year, the way the insurance, the group medicals, what do you call, onboarding happens. And that allowed for a complete coverage, and that helps eliminate bias on the sentiment analysis on what's coming in.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I guess sort of behind that message then is about the effort that goes in using human cognition to be able to understand what that problem space looks like, so that you can feed it into these intelligent systems. How do you encourage the right sort of mindset to look at the problem in a particular way?
Yep, absolutely. It always is. I think one of the biggest challenges with human beings in general, and I don't mean to be philosophical, but it is true, and we can't leave philosophy behind. It's we tend to become closed very quick. We tend to praise ourselves that, oh, this is the right answer, this is the right path. It's because of the influence, because of what we have around us, or because how we are training ourselves to think. Only if I sat back and let it loose, it is amazing how many more things you get to learn, and how it changes the entire interaction and the cycle. Sometimes it's totally 100% different.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. And of course, then you need to be open-minded and learn from that new information and change your approach. Yeah, that's a great point. And you were talking earlier about the development of roadmaps and multiple roadmaps and democratizing those. How do you handle a situation where you've got some idea of what you're going to be doing in the future, and then unexpected change occurs, whether it's the executive have just seen a shiny new toy, or there's a legislative change that you weren't expecting. Or just the sheer excitement of somebody in the organisation deciding they want to try something new. How do you handle the changes to the plan as they occur?
It happens every time and every day, and thank you for asking it. You have to remove the element of frustration from the personality. I think one of the personas of architects is you are not allowed to be frustrated, because one thing that you are going to deal with is continuous change and continuous different sides of asks. And that is why when I said the democratization of information is very important, one of the other things that my team is currently working on is also selecting a tool where I can actually put all of this in. There is a change, we don't want to go behind this, we want to go to the shiny object. Is there a way where I can automatically make that change and see in my roadmap? I don't know the answer to that. Today we do it manually, it's an effort, and it's a very laborious exercise. So I think we put ourselves in that habit, and the change that I have seen within my organization is, it's okay, let's ask the right questions now, like, oh, why are we going to do this, what do we achieve by this? And you'll notice like 50, 50, 40, 50% of times you don't change it because there is no good answer for what, and the noise shuts down. Other 40, 50% of the times, it's a good thing. It's a good thing, because what I noticed with the entry of that shiny object or the actual object, my roadmap has now become more doable, and it is going faster than I want. Sometimes there is also that I don't want to do it, but I still have to do it because of where it's coming from, and you do it, right? But you create innovation labs, you create the environments, like lab like environments which have certain controls and policies to let your guys play in, so that they can continuously prove the point. Like currently, one of my teams is really has is like in a very high sky in the cloud, where they have achieved a true POC on how can they decouple from mainframe, from one of our legacy assets, like how that communication will happen. And they're overjoyed, they are in their last stages and trying to prove, and they won't have to say a lot when they show it.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I was reminded of while you were talking of a phrase I heard on a podcast once that said that you need strong convictions loosely held. So you need to know what you're trying to do, but also be willing to change as the circumstances change around you. Yeah, that flexibility is important, I think, in architects. That's a great point. Can you just, we are sort of running short on time, but I'm really keen to understand a little bit more about the relationship you form with your sort of delivery teams, if you like. So with the technology team and with your industry partners like your SIs and your vendors, and how do you form effective relationships with them?
It's time consuming, I will say this, right? It never comes in your job description, but there is no job description that is going to fulfill the practical side of the job without this, and everybody has to be very, very intentional about it. One answer, a good answer, I think, through VIA and through ISA, The industry part of it is taken care, along with the partnerships with AWS and Gartner and Azure. That side is taken care. It is, I think there is the contractual influence, and then there is your personal working relationship that happens, right? On the, and another thing that I cannot miss, the plug that I put, right? We started a small insurance practice on purpose so that we can all talk to each other and see what is going on and validate ourselves, and share our knowledge on the delivery teams. And this is super important, and I think this has been a very big miss throughout. So I'll tell you the practical things that we did earlier this year. I actually asked all my business CIOs to give me one person from their scrum teams per application or multiple per application, where I called them system engineer. We renamed them system engineer. And I said, and then we created a COP, and we did not call it community of practice, we called it community of practitioners. These are run weekly, where we are teaching them our landscape. What does the forest look like, so that they can think beyond? We are teaching them the right questions to ask. We are listening from them. Why is that not a right question? We are teaching them why we ask this in ARB. When you bring something to TAC, what should you consider and why are we saying no? It's become where it is now. It's become a cycle where they know that if they have a problem, this is where they are going. And another thing that I did is I aligned my business, my enterprise architects, to business units, so that my business CIOs do not have a question on where to go. It's them. They may not know all the answers. And I had to solve that too. The expectation was they will know all the answer. And I said, that's a wrong expectations. Please don't have that. They are not. What they will do is they will work with the entire team and find answers and come back to you. And we created artifacts for them that have helped them communicate with their business counterparts. That, so that bond, the, and now I did not ask them to change the reporting lines, which tells them that my intention is to spread the foundational knowledge, architectural knowledge, and that thinking and that mindset across, without wanting to expand my team, because that's not the goal here, right? So it's working, because I see the question Q&A that happens through that, because it's a teams activity. And I've seen that people have started relying. And then we also had, like, during our offsite, we had like a 2-hour meet and greet networking, where we brought in food and asked all of them to come. And I think that helped with the removing that friction a little bit, when everybody was drinking together, eating together. That just gave that forum to talk. And it's funny, right, how these things become so, make so many frictions go away. So that's that side of the story. On the business partners, the way I am dealing with is, my architects are on most of the bigger programs. So, and I keep a tab on the bigger programs little more closely. And anytime that I see in any forum that the executives of that other part, from the business side, are there, I make it a point to be very purposeful and intentional, to bring the program, bring the architecture team, and ask if there's something missing. Like, something that I said to one of my business partners was last week was, that I wanted him to take comfort in however this program is being run. Even though there are 2 architects, there is an entire team behind those 2 architects supporting them. So I wanted him to take a lot of comfort in that. And that's how I established that bond, because I don't have direct communication with them.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like we're going to have you back for another conference, and we're going to talk about expectation management, stakeholder management, and just like really dig down into that, because it's really, really interesting, fascinating, and I really like the way it sounds like you've implemented that there. I think there's some lessons for people to learn from your experience. So Gurpreet, thank you so much for being part of WIA Takes Over Built. So it's really, really special having you here today. Just thank you for sharing that information. I've got a bunch of notes I'm going to take away and use in my job. So that's fantastic, and I'm sure everybody else got the same value out of it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for listening, and thank you for the opportunity. Take care.